the time control most likely. Both sides actually low on time. And yeah, despite the fact, I think, as Peter says, black isn't risking too much because of the weakness of white's e-pawn especially. I don't think white should ever really be losing this either. It feels like at the right moment, you will get counterplay. You might even be able to, for example, if you win the f7 pawn Sunday, just give up the white knight for black's queenside pawns. Feels like it should be a draw, but yeah, it's hard to say who I would rather be. I think momentum-wise, it would make a lot of sense to say white here, but objectively, yeah, I think Gukesh shouldn't panic too much. Yes, he's lost some control. Yes, there was that tactical flurry. He might inside, deep down, feel he had a missed opportunity, but this kind of position he's left with, he's fine, and he knows he's fine. So it's just about what happens now in the build-up to move 40.
You need to create multiple weaknesses if you're looking at this from Alireza's perspective. If you can, and this is not going to be a mistaken arrow, if you could draw an arrow from b3 to d6 for me, if that knight could get to d6, then white is clearly better, if not winning, in many positions. So the white knight doesn't have access to these great squares. And I say this all the time. My coach, he used to talk about dream moves, dream squares. Where do your pieces belong? And I think that Alireza is fantasizing about getting his knight to a square like d6, but there is no path, at least not yet. So it's going to take a while. And if a pair of rooks come off the board, it's hard to see how white builds up enough pressure against black's pawns. You may get a queenside pawn, but the kingside pawns for black seem protected. White's pawns are quite extended. It means that a black rook can aim at e5 and h5, and perhaps we will see mass liquidation and a split point.
Wow, Gukesh, it's crept up on him, but he's under 3 minutes as well now. I like your b6, Peter. I think good conventional wisdom just to stop the white knight from ever improving itself. For example, a5, I think white would play rook c7, a4, and the white knight jumps into c5, and suddenly the white knight might get to Robert's dream square. Dream capture here, knight c5 coming in, but yeah, b6 would take the sting out. Okay, you can see visibly nervous there on the camera at Gukesh. He knows what a key this could be in the grand scheme of things in his tournament hopes. a5 played, and
wow.
Firouzja.
Okay,
c7?
but a5 now exactly as you highlighted. Yeah, the white can play the move rook c7, and things are getting extremely wild.
Right, because you can't easily block with your rook, because then you drop the a5 pawn that you just placed on the square after the rook trades on d7. Doesn't that mean that white is getting active here? Black is trying to run those past pawns, but a rook on c7, a knight coming to c5 in some positions, that might be a cause for concern if Alireza can successfully reach the time control, and he started with rook c7.
Yeah. Good move, strong move. Gukesh. I mean, he's taking a big risk. a5 is a kind of very hasty move, just allowing counterplay here. He still has 2 minutes, but knight c5 allowed. Wow. I'm really fearing for black. I mean, even if b5 here, sorry, knight b7 into d6 ideas. Robert, you were tracking that path into the dream outpost. The black king not entirely safe if both sets of rooks remain on the board.
But there is rook d2 check and rook c2, no? Is that maybe Gukesh's idea? It runs into some knight takes e6 tactic. I'm not sure about it, but what otherwise is he relying on?
Might try to push the queenside pawns like b5. He might be going for a win, but I'm looking at the clock now, and all of a sudden, it's not just Alireza down to a minute. Gukesh is joining him, and this is exactly when mistakes happen. When you had an advantage, a clear extra pawn, you made a sacrifice, it hasn't necessarily panned out the way you want. Gukesh needs to be careful now, and he brought his rook to a8, a rook behind a pass pawn. David, I think you'll agree, that's usually a great thing.
Yeah, very logical move. Look at Gukesh there, turning away. The players won't be writing down their moves any longer now that they're under 5 minutes because there's no increment. They don't need to write down their moves. So he was maybe looking away at the screen, checking what move number they're on. They have 5 moves each to make, both around the 1 minute mark. It's getting scary. Rook a8, a really clever move. Unexpected. I don't think Firouzja will have seen that one. And how has he replied? Knight into d7. Oh, huge threat on the board.
Peter, does that remind you of Pragnananda's knight d7? You know, that is one that throws a spanner in the works.
But be careful, a3, rook takes a3 is the stunner. Rook a3, rook c8 and its mate. Knight f8, knight g6, rook h8.
Oh, That is
Beautiful.
an unbelievable tactical find.
Wow. Gukesh, no chance he spotted that one. Look at that nervous glance, a couple of nervous glances, twitches towards the clock there. How to react to this? Knight b6 is a huge fork as well. Does he need to just play rook d8? He's losing his pawns. This could go either way now.
Well, Gukesh, look at his clock. He is ticking down to 35 seconds. A3 is the move you want to play, but he's probably realized he can't get away with it. He's half looking at the board, half looking at the clock. Peter, what's he going to do?
Rook b5 maybe.
Wow.
King h7.
Oh, but you could see he's nervous. He looks behind him. He looked at his opponent. He's looking down. The engine loves it for white. And David, it was your idea from earlier. Rook f3. Go for the f7 pawn and go for the black king.
Both sides have 20 seconds now to make 4 moves each. Physically tough. He plays rook f3, the key move. He's going for checkmate against the black king here. Under 20 seconds for Gukesh. They're literally going to have to make moves in seconds now. 12 seconds.
You see the outline of the mating attack. Gukesh, he pushes his pawn, it looked like, but here comes rook takes f7, and the bar is all the way up. That means there is a checkmated construction. Gukesh brings his king back, slaps the clock, and Alireza, he needs to make a move. He is down to 5 seconds. He plays knight f8, and he's found the checkmate. There it is. Gukesh, he puts his hand in the air. He cannot believe it. Alireza Firouzja has landed a checkmate. Game over. Handshakes. Alireza himself can't believe it, but pure devastation on the face for Gukesh, and you have to feel for him. He's a teenager. This is his first candidacy. He had a shot at the clear lead halfway through. My heart truly breaks for him. Peter, you work with Vincent Keimer, a teenager. It just pains you to see the heartbreak on the other end of someone's jubilation.
Yes, and in a game which he dominated, yeah, and it just goes on to show what a merciless time control this is. Yeah, the young players are actually used to the 30 seconds increment per move, yeah, and then they are handling things to perfection, but they are just not used to this kind of crazy time scrambles. And of course, it's a horrible loss for Gukesh, but what a comeback by Alireza, spotting that knight d7 move. Insane.
David, what do you have to say about what we just saw?
Yeah, speechless. My heart goes out to Gukesh, who was so close. It could have been a tournament-defining win if he'd managed to snatch it. But also, huge congratulations to Firouzja, his first win of the tournament. He's had a run of tough luck and yeah, spotted some crazy moves to deliver that checkmate. Really calm under pressure there. Wow, I mean, just the drama though. It's the drama, the nerves of the candidates. It's been visible since day one. This is how much it means to the players. They want it so badly, the shot at the World Championship match. They all think it could be their year. But yeah, small margins at the top level. And ultimately, it is Firouzja who takes the win. Gukesh, it's going to be tough to bounce back from that one.
It's unfortunately a familiar sight for the many fans of Gukesh as he continues to wonder what could have been at the Olympiad in Chennai. He lost a different heartbreaking game against Nodirbek Abdusattorov. He still met